What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more garbage, and we're returning to the 2001 album Beautiful Garbage, though this is the 2021 remaster. Thank you again to Phil, as well as to those who've been commenting along the way, notably Mikey and Mark and a couple others. But the next track is Breaking Up the Girl, and without another preposition, without breaking up with the girl, which would, I think, be a bit more straight away, or at least give you a sense of what's happening more directly, I'm not quite sure what to make of it. Breaking someone up could be fracturing them, maybe psycho-emotionally. It could, of course, be splitting someone's sympathies or emotions among multiple people, maybe a love triangle kind of concept. But yeah, there's, I think, an implied metaphor or figurative meaning to it, because I'm guessing we're not talking about breaking someone into different pieces in a physical sense. So in that regard, it sounds like there's confliction, pain, or indeed fracturing. So I'll have to see what I can catch on a first listen. This is Garbage. The track is Breaking Up the Girl, and it's from their 2001 album Beautiful Garbage.
Dangerous world, there's an art to grow and mold. Take your chances, magic happens. One mistake's all it takes, and your life has come undone. Walk away, 'cause you're breaking up the girl. It's a grack, I know it's hard, but you're tearing her apart. Walk away, 'cause you're breaking up the girl. I'm afraid that there's much to be afraid of here today. Gone tomorrow. Loser. One mistake's all it takes, and your life has come undone. Walk away, 'cause you're breaking up the girl. It's a grack, I know it's hard, but you're tearing her apart. Walk away, 'cause you're breaking up the girl. Gotta let it go, because you break it up, girl. One mistake's all it takes, and your life has come undone. Walk away, 'cause you're breaking up the girl. It's a grack, I know it's hard, but you're tearing her apart. Walk away, 'cause you're breaking up the girl. Breaking up the girl. Breaking up the
What a fascinating tune. In a small way, it reminded me almost like of a dubstar tune, because it had a really happy sound to a lot of the sonics, especially those do-do-do supporting vocals but it sounds like a very dark tune lyrically and conceptually. And admittedly, Shirley's vocals had a heavier and darker sound to them. Like at the beginning, she was singing really low, and it almost sounded like she was singing, with a bit of a bug, like she had a cold, or she sort of had lost her voice or something. And there were a couple moments as the tune really got into it, after a minute or two, where I was like, is that really her? Or like, I wondered if it was someone else. I think it was her lead vocal, but yeah, she sounded different here than she has on some of the other tunes. I'm not quite sure what's happening, because I think we're talking on the level of emotion, the idea of, your world coming apart and indeed breaking up the girl and encouraging. I was actually wondering whether the narrator was addressing another girl who's going to end up in the gutter, which, of course, that sounds like it's figurative, but it suggests maybe a darker, more literal meaning of, someone who is actually killing people one by one. But I think this is functioning on a metaphorical level, and it would be the psycho-emotional gutter. But I was wondering whether the narrator was addressing the guy who's seemingly doing this, or a girl who's next in line to be broken up and torn apart by the machinations or cruelty or violence, be it figurative, psycho-emotional, or maybe more literal, of the guy who's doing this. So I wasn't sure about the direction of the walk away line, but either way, yeah, it sounds like someone who is causing destruction in these women's lives, women's lives, but ultimately, as I said, I think that is on a more figurative level. But it's, as I said, an interesting contrast, because the Sonics had this lightness to them. There was some electric guitar, then that moment where it seemed to strip down a bit and there was a bit of acoustic guitar. I enjoyed that. And yeah, just an interesting track that I'm curious to hear, what's happening here narratively, because even though I feel like some of the sketches make sense to me, I wasn't sure the direction the prescription of the narrator was directed. So yes, ultimately I enjoyed this one. It felt shorter. I'm going to say that's like under 4 minutes. Not that any of their tunes have been particularly long, but yeah, okay, so 3.5 minutes. So I suppose that's pretty standard in a pop type album. But yeah, I'm really curious about this one, which feels darker than maybe the Sonics or especially supporting vocals would let you know, or you would be inclined to think. I should point out that there's a lot of bonus tracks in here, including a Velvet Underground cover, and then we did The World Is Not Enough, right? Oh, that's right, because Mikey shared that one, I believe. So that one is also in the bonus folder, but yeah, there's a number of tracks once we get to the end of the proper album, so looking forward to going through it all. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.